Guys, before we get into Wok Wednesday, I've got an exciting announcement to make. I will be on Ready Steady Cook. If you don't know what Ready Steady Cook is, it was one of my childhood dreams to get on this show. The show's on BBC One, starting on the 1st of March, every single Monday to Friday, 3:45 p.m. for the next 6 weeks. Hey guys, Jeremy, and I'm back in the School of Wok kitchen for Wok Wednesday. No more shoddy filming from me. Thanks Lee, thanks Chris. You guys are far better. So what we're cooking? We are cooking a Vietnamese coconut braised pork belly. Here we go. This is a really simple recipe. You ideally want to give it a little bit of time. We're going to start with either one normal size onion or half a School of Wok onion, and you just want to finely slice this onion. I'm going to braise this pork belly, and I'm going to cut it into nice sort of chunky dices, but I'm going to start to cook off the onions and ginger first. So I'm just going to get that in. So I've got a fair bit of onion here, and I'm going to cook it. I like to sort of cook these onions right down, much like almost starting a French onion soup, you know. We're braising this pork belly, and I want to get as much flavour from the onions as possible, because there's not that much else going into this dish, but we'll get loads of flavour from those caramelised onions as they go in. I'm going to add my ginger next. Right, so we're going to put some kale into this at the very end, just to add a bit of green and some nice colour. Just taking off the thicker stalk. And we'll put some in just to sort of braise in with the meat, and then if I've got time, which I'm sure I will, then I'll just possibly fry some up to garnish. I've also got cloth here. I'm just going to leave these sort of picked to dry on the cloth. And the pork belly, I'm actually going to take the fat off, or the rind off. And then you're going to go for sort of good size dices, like so. Now you can sear this in your saucepan, but with all those onions, they're still sort of caramelising away. I've got a fair bit of pork here, so I'm going to sear it in the wok and then throw it into the saucepan to then cook through and braise after. So when you're searing it, just get your pan or wok to a nice high heat, and then get all that in there. And what we're trying to do here is just seal all the way around the meat, so it keeps the moisture inside, so that when it goes and braises into that coconut milk, it just sort of simmers away, takes in all the flavour from the actual sauce. And this type of cooking, especially sort of coming from that Vietnamese background, very, very simple ingredients. You know, apart from the coconut milk, a bit of fish sauce and chilli, that's pretty much it. You know, maybe a little bit of palm sugar to sweeten it up and balance out the flavour. But all the flavours coming from, you know, 2 or 3 main ingredients: the onion, the ginger, the pork, and the coconut milk. So the pork belly's been seared nicely. Just get that into those onions, so you can see the caramelised onions underneath. Look at the colour of those. Fantastic. That's what you're looking for. As I said, that sort of French onion soup base. That ginger and onion will really form most of the flavour of this. I'm going to mix all that round, and then just bring the heat up to sort of medium to high heat, so it sizzles away nicely, because I'm going to start to add the coconut milk now and the chilies. Got some chili flakes here, about a tablespoon of chili flakes. They're going to go around the pork whilst that's sizzling away. You do want to cook those through a little, You know, sort of raw, dry chili never tastes good. So make sure it gets a good bit of that heat before you add any liquid. And then a little bit of black pepper. And that'll just accentuate the flavour of the chili flakes. And then we're going to go for about a third of the coconut milk first. Just bring all the flavour off the bottom of the pan. Just fold that through nicely. Smells absolutely amazing. And then add another third of your coconut milk. Mix that in, bring it to a boil, and then the last third. Still on a medium to high heat at the moment. And then we're going to top that up with some chicken stock. Make sure all that pork is well covered. You can use water if you don't have chicken stock, that will work too. Chicken stock just gives it a bit more depth of flavour, which I quite like. And then later on, we're going to season that up with some fish sauce and a little bit of palm sugar, not too much. I'd rather it be salty than sweet. Bring that to a boil, bring it down to simmer. Let it simmer for at least 45 minutes, I'd say, or sort of up to an hour and a half or 2 hours if you want to get it softer and softer. My pork has had a good hour and a half. As I say, the longer you cook it, the softer it will become. But what I love about this dish is the simplicity and the colour. Look at the colour of that. That sort of deep, sort of orangey brown colour come from the onions and the ginger that we cooked off at the beginning. The last thing we're going to do is pop the kale in for the last few minutes. You can use whatever veg you want. It's just nice to sort of break it up with the green. And as I say, you could fry some or deep fry some kale, put it on top. But actually I'm going to keep this nice and simple. I'm going to season this up whilst that kale is cooking through. A couple of tablespoons of fish sauce. And then not too much palm sugar. I'd rather it be salty than sweet, but a heaped teaspoon of palm sugar should do it. Just melt that through and then give it a taste. Lovely. I think we could do with a little bit more fish sauce actually. So 1 more spoon of fish sauce. Remember, we had a whole can of coconut milk in there, so there's a fair amount of sweetness from that too. And that is all ready to go. So you've got your braised pork belly. It should still have a little bit of a bite, but nicely softened. It's a proper hearty family meal, this. With a bit of steamed rice on the side. And then, of course, all that sauce over the top. It's not a quick recipe, but really easy. Whoa, that looks delicious. Whilst I'm here, I'm going to go straight in. Oh. Guys, if you want to make home-cooked food like this, delicious home-cooked food that could be a feast or a simple, even mid-week dinner, don't forget to subscribe to our School of Wok channel and like everything we do.